Hi, and welcome to another episode of Movie Battleground. It's St. Patrick's Day, and we thought it was a good idea to do a drunk match. We got people to send down auditions and whatnots, and we picked two of the best competitors that really wanted to do it. But before I introduce them, I'm going to introduce my judging panel. First, I believe this is the first time he's judged Movie Battlegrounds. We've got one half of Business Casual. It's Brandon Hanna. Brandon, how's it going? What do you expect from the match?
Oh, it's going really well. I'm really happy to be here. This is my first time not just judging a match, but being a part of one of these matches altogether. So outside of, watching movie fights, I don't really have a ton of experience here, but I hope that I can do a good job of judging. And I don't know what to expect from these two guys quite yet. I know Jay likes to talk, so maybe that'll come to his advantage. But we'll have to see how things go.
And the next judge we've got here is the other half of Business Casual, James White. James, how's it going?
That's right. Doing good, man. This is going to be a fun one. Jay likes to talk a lot when he's sober. I can't imagine what he's going to do when he's drunk. So this is going to be ridiculous. It's going to be over the top. It's going to be audacious. Any other, dictionary words you want to throw out there, but it's going to be a lot of fun.
And I think it's time to go to our competitors. Introducing first with a record of, I don't actually know because I didn't ask people what the records are, but we've got Jay. Jay,
I'm doing good, man. I can't wait to have this little bit of a tussle. I'm just going to keep drinking while we're doing this, though. So forgive me for the slurring of the words that's about to happen, but hopefully it'll make a fucking coherent sentence. And whether you think I'm right, whether you think I'm wrong, I'm right.
And also the other person we've got here is Asher. Asher, how's it going?
It's going great. Oh, that is terrible. Okay. I'm here to kick ass. I am 2-1, so I don't know why I'm facing him, but I am ready to kick ass. I just got back from Mardi Gras, hence the beads. So I'm all about partying. I'm all about talking movies. So I'm down to do it. Also, before any of the comments hit, yes, I am 21. I turn 22 after this match drops. So, just want to put my ID out there for all y'all to like. Now I'm gonna get shot, but that's okay.
How the show works is we've given them 3 prepared topics. I've gone and did the research. Hopefully, maybe I don't know, but
no.
How it works that we've changed up a little bit to make these videos sort of a little bit shorter. It's now going to be 1 minute for the opening, 5 minutes for the middle, and 1 minute for the closing. They do have 1 minute extension should they want to use it because they've drunk too much and think they're going to slur too much words and they'll need the extra bit of time to get more points in. There's that no filibustering, just no touching your face. Make sure it's a nice, clean sort of debate. And most of all, just have fun. And the other thing I'm going to say is, if the judges, try and keep your sort of judging sort of short and to the point, because we don't want to sort of have a big long discussion about why someone should get a point. So there's that. And now first question that we have is, with the release of Jordan Peele's Us coming next week, who is the best up-and-coming director? And they have to have at least 3 movies made by them at the most. So I'm going to go to Asher first for the opening. And Asher, your time begins when you start talking.
Okay. So up-and-comer, what I think about when I think of an up-and-comer is somebody who's been very frequent in the scene in the past few years with very important films made, very good stepping stones to something you see potential in them in the future. So guess who's been around for I don't know, maybe 6-7 years and has a really good knack for getting at millennials and getting at the meta commentary of society. That person is Bo Burnham. He, believe it or not, started as a comedian and as a musician making shows on YouTube, and he's turned it into a meta commentary on how society works. And now he has ended up creating a great movie, 8th Grade, one of the actually best movies of the year, at only like, I think 23. He's very young. He has so much space to go. He gets young people. He gets meta commentary. Perfect idea and perfect up-and-comer that you're looking for.
And that's perfect time. I didn't have to say time at all. Jay, your 1 minute opening begins when you start talking.
All right. I think I went a little bit in the easier route here. I can still fight this. I actually went Jordan Peele. Jordan Peele has only one feature film to his oeuvre. He doesn't have a whole lot behind him. He's got a lot of TV, but we can get into that later. But what he did was he perfectly blended horror, suspense, thriller, and comedy into one movie, and he's done it in such a way that I don't think anybody's been able to match, and I don't think anybody will be able to match, and I don't think that Bo Burnham will get to that level anytime soon. And that's my time.
And that's the first debate. And yeah, so it's Jordan Peele versus Bo Burnham, and time begins when someone starts talking.
So the issue here is the idea of. Did you want to start?
Go ahead.
Okay. The issue is what we're seeing right here is an up-and-comer versus kind of a veteran who's finally getting his name told, which, yeah, is something. But I think of a true up-and-comer as a young, aspiring artist who wants to have his voice heard through a bunch of different outlets, through a bunch of different ways to get his message across. And from that, I think, comes a musician, a comedian, and somebody who gets how things work at a very young age and puts it into a movie. 8th Grade's a very good movie. As for Jordan Peele,
Eighth Grade is an okay movie. And if you really want to go there, you really want to talk about being a musician, you really want to talk about being a comedian, Jordan Peele has that. He has that in spades. But what you have with your movie 8th Grade is you have this disconjointed movie that doesn't know what it wants to be, which could be the point of that film, but it's not gotten across very well. What you have with my movie is a movie that deals with both subtle and overt racism in a very well understood and well maintained tone that any person who looks at it can see it from a different angle. But what you have with your movie is really just this cringy story of a girl coming up through 8th grade and not understanding.
Okay, so we're just having an argument of 8th Grade versus Get Out at this point. I think that's stupid. First of all, I'm just going to say one more point. I think it's stupid because that's a one movie thing. Look at your guy. He's pigeonholed into social thrillers now. He's doing Us because his production company, not his production company, but the contract he was signed on to made him have to do another horror film. And then he's doing The Twilight Zone. He is in one box. He is a niche artist. What I am arguing for is that Bo Burnham has been able to do it in so many different ways.
Has he though?
Yes, he has done comedy. Yes, he's done comedy. He's done music, and he's done film, and he's acted. That's 4 different aspects.
So has Jordan Peele, though. You're literally just sitting here saying, "Oh, you're putting him into one box."
Jordan Peele does music.
Yes. Have you not seen any of the shit that he's done on Key and Peele?
I have seen that, but that's not the same thing.
It doesn't matter. He still does music on that. He not? Okay. He still does comedy on that show, does he not? He still does horror. He still does sketches. He does all of that. But you're sitting here saying, "Oh no, we're just going to put him into one little box." No,
I'm not saying that. I'm saying they've
literally just said that.
I know, and
you
I'm
literally
saying,
just said that. But
can I finish what I'm going to say? I'm saying that I'm not saying that. I'm saying that they already have done it. They've already put him in that box. They've already signed him onto a big lease in order to do horror thrillers, social thrillers. He's going to do one niche for a while. It's
regardless of whether he's going to do that one niche for a while, that one niche is what's incredibly popular right now. You sitting here saying, "Oh no, we're going to shove him into this one little box," and that one little box might as well be the MCU or a comic book movie because it's what's super big outside of everything else. That's just it. You have these horrors and you have these thrillers that have taken place. You know, you've got shit like The Purge. Okay, cool. Now he's branching out to do The Twilight Zone, which allows him to do shit like a musical, which allows him to do shit like a comedy. Yes, with a horror tinge to it, with a sci-fi tinge to it, but it allows him a larger box to actually play with. But with him and Get Out, what you have is you have what you think is a straightforward story of going out to the woods to have this person who basically is a fish out of water story. You have this one person who does not match any of the criteria whatsoever of everybody else that's around him. And then it devolves into this fucking horror story. What do you have with 8th grade? You have a movie that doesn't know what it wants to be. You have this.
Go.
Oh, go ahead.
I've never seen a perfect depiction of a coming-of-age film quite like 8th grade. If this is the value and intensity and aesthetic of a movie that we're arguing...
Okay, but that's subjective.
Okay, that's great.
That's your opinion about that's your opinion about a coming-of-age movie.
Okay.
That doesn't mean that that's the end all.
So it's Rotten Tomatoes score, its reviews are on par with Get Out. I don't understand the concept. I don't understand the issue that you're talking about.
We're not talking about that. What you said was, I have never seen a coming of age story.
There was a heated battle, and we've still got the closings to go. It's probably going to get more loud, but yeah, what I want to hear from the closing is try and focus on why you think your guy is the best up and comer. Like, we heard a lot about their movies, mainly Get Out in 8th grade, but try and focus more on why you think your person is the best up and comer. So we're going to start, because Ash started off with the opening, we're going to start off with Jay for the closing. Your 1 minute begins when you start talking.
Jordan Peele delivered a masterclass in storytelling. He depicted the horror that an everyday average African-American person might encounter with a white family in the middle of nowhere versus Bo Burnham's disconjointed story of whether or not, I don't know if it's supposed to be this raunchy comedy. I don't know if it's supposed to be this horror story about coming up as this 8th grade girl. There's a more complete story. And I think when you have a director who can tell a more complete story throughout, you have a broader spectrum to gain more acceptance in the world of filmmaking if you can tell a fuller and more complete story.
You've still got 18 seconds.
18 seconds. I've got 18 seconds. 18 seconds. I don't know.
Okay.
This doesn't sound like the Twilight Zone. No, but that being said, I think he'll kick ass at the Twilight Zone. That's fine. Don't sit here and say we're gonna shove him into a box when this is his first theatrical review. This is his first theatrical movie. He can go thriller, horror, comedy. Boom.
Right, Asher, it's down to you for your closing. Wrap it to a nice bow, and yeah, your 1 minute begins when you start talking.
8th grade is an entirely complete movie. It encapsulates everything it takes to be a middle schooler who's an outcast going through perils of life. I don't understand what raunchy comedy really means, that term about it's growing older. And I think that's what Bo Burnham's demographic is. But I also think he also knows so much about so many different things that he can spread his wealth and do many different projects. He could be one of the most diverse filmmakers out there. And I get that Jordan Peele's Get Out was a very good social thriller that took place and dealt with very big issues right now. And I get that. But my point is, when you have somebody who gets kids, who needs this sort of point of view, even adults can look back and be like, yeah, that's what he's talking about. When you have this many different spread routes like Bo Burnham has, and you can take any avenue we want, not just social thriller right now, you do it.
Well, I mean, that was definitely a interesting debate. We definitely heard a lot. Going to go to the judges. Brandon, I'm going to go to you first. Who are you going to give your point to and why?
Oh, man. I mean, this is really close for me. I thought both made really good points. I thought that, Jay made some good points about how, you know, both these filmmakers only have one big movie to really compare to each other. And, you know, both films are kind of on par with I guess how well critically received they are. I wish Jay had gone more into the accolades that Get Out got, with it winning, you know, like best original screenplay at the Oscars, and the limelight that kind of shined on Jordan Peele in the Academy and everything. I thought that would have really helped his argument. Let's see. A really good point that I thought was made was that in opposition to that was that, you know, Eighth Grade is more of a coming of age story that can be related to by anybody at any age at any time, where Get Out is more of a social commentary that, you know, will probably be relevant for many generations to come, but may not be, you know, depending on the social and political landscape. You know, 50 years from now, is the movie going to be just as relatable? But overall, I think I'm going to give the point to Jay. And the reason I'm going to do that is because actually he made a point about how Jordan Peele is niche. And I thought that was a really good point, that he's kind of in this one box of horror and thriller, but you didn't really sell me on why the same is not true for Bo Burnham, because you try to talk about how, you know, he's a writer, he's an actor, a director, a comedian, a musician, but, you know, maybe minus the success as a musician, maybe not. It's like Jordan Peele is all of those things also. So unfortunately, you couldn't really sell me on that aspect.
James, who are you going to give your point to and why?
I agree. This was a really good fight, and it was kind of swinging back and forth there for me. I'm going to disagree with my teammate Brandon, and I'm going to give my point to Asher because of the exact reasons that Brandon said. I think that Asher hit him pretty hard, saying that Jordan Peele is kind of getting pigeonholed at the moment, and he kind of is. You know, after the success of Get Out, he's having to follow up with these similar titles, whereas we haven't seen Bo Burnham's follow up to Eighth Grade yet, which I think if Jay would have made a point and said, look, your dude hasn't even gotten another movie off the ground, that would have kind of swung the point over, but he didn't fight back on that. And I think Asher's point was a little bit stronger, given that the two movies are both very, very good movies. I think that point kind of swayed me over.
So it's down to me to be the tiebreaker. But yeah, this was definitely tough because, I mean, like, they all do make really good points. But I think I'm going to give my point to Jay, because I think he did manage to get more in. Like, the main ground was definitely very back and forth. To me, it really came down to the closing. Like, I think Jay got into a lot, saying like he's doing the Twilight Zone next, so which means he's going to get, with doing that, he's going to be able to play with a lot of different genres, not definitely just horror. But yeah, so Jay gets the first point. But anyway, we move into our next question, and the question is, what is the best 80s comedy? And I'm going to go to Jay to open it off first.
What happens when you look for a comedy movie, especially for a fish out of water, when you send a prince from Zamunda to a borough in New York City? You have the best comedy of the 1980s. You have Coming to America. You have Eddie Murphy in what is legitimately his prime. You have the most sleek and stylish. You have the predecessors to several of his other movies in this, whether it's him voicing multiple characters, donning multiple costumes. You have this all-around story that breaks itself down and is heartwarming and hilarious and heartbreaking all at the exact same time. Coming to America is the one movie from the 80s that everybody thinks of when they think of, hey man, what was the best comedy from the 80s? Oh man, it's Coming to America.
And Asher, it's down to you for your opening. You've got 1 minute when you begin talking.
Okay, I just want to say Jay's playing a hell of a match. really putting me through the ringer. You're
Thank you.
welcome. So honestly, that's not the first movie I think of when I think of comedies from the 80s. That's not the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, or even seventh. It's like the eighth. I think the quintessential 80s comedy is Airplane. I mean, how could it not be? The whole point of comedy is satire. From its inception, comedy was to be a satire of things. What is a bigger satire than a spoof movie, than a parody? Nothing. It takes a look at life and it paints a picture to the biggest exaggerations you could possibly have, and you laugh at it. That's the point of a parody. That's the point of how a spoof should be done. That's how it's always been done in all of comedy history, in theater, in theater, in storytelling, in film. That's why I think Airplane is the best 80s comedy and one of the best comedies of all time for that matter, because it's timeless.
So we've got Coming to America versus Airplane. It's definitely going to be an interesting battle. I personally would have gone with the first Police Academy for this, but
Fair enough.
The first one.
it's definitely not my fight. Your 5 minutes begins when someone starts talking, and let's go with the main round.
All right, so real quick, first off, let's not sit here and say that this is a quintessential movie that like we look back on it and nothing should be changed about this movie when it comes to like the dinner serving scene when they're talking to the two black individuals in that movie and they happen to be talking jive and they need a translator. Yes, it's played up for laughs, but in the politically correct world right now, go ahead and all you want, but think I'm wrong.
I don't think you're wrong, but if you're talking about being sensitive to other cultures, what is Coming to America then? Jeez, I mean,
Coming to America was actually thought of and created by, an African-American person with a little bit of cultural sensitivity to it. So if that's the route that you want to go with it, we can go that route, but at least mine isn't made by white people trying to be played up for laughs by white people. Mine is made by an African-American trying to get laughs with a majority African-American cast, where your movie is... Your movie all takes place in one spot, and you've got one funny person in that entire movie. Funny line.
What? No, you don't have one. Okay, you don't have one funny person or one funny line in this movie. You have countless.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You can't even talk about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in that movie. He's not that funny in that movie. He doesn't know how to act. You have Leslie Nielsen, who is trying to break into his comedy scene throughout that entire movie. He was the straight man for the longest time, and he didn't do that great of a job trying to portray anything.
Okay, but the point of comedy isn't to be all. It isn't supposed to be all out there. It also is in the words. So you have a deadpan comedian. Basically, you don't have a deadpan comedian. You have a deadpan serious actor reading comedic lines, which is actually how theater should be done. It's how things should be acted. It's the way comedy's been built. And I hear you with that. I knew when I was going to say it, it was going to be an issue with that. But I think that it's close to the culture, but in a sense, it also is a little bit appropriating because they don't necessarily know their backgrounds. So
it's not even a little bit. It's not even a little bit appropriating. That's like for that one scene, yes, but we've spent so much time talking about your movie. Let's talk about my movie. Okay, so you have Coming to America. You have this is by far one of the best comedy movies of all time, regardless of whether or not you take into consideration the Black History Schmodown, the Black Movie Schmodown that just happened. Everybody laughed when this question came up. What is the name of the band that plays at the church, at the gathering, Sexual Chocolate. Everybody remembers all of this. Nobody really remembers Airplane. And I guarantee you, and you can go ahead and call this subjective, but I guarantee you ask 100 people what decade Airplane came out in, they'd tell you the 70s because nobody remembered that movie came out in the 1980s. But everybody remembers that Coming to America came out in the 80s. Everybody remembers that Coming to America was Eddie Murphy in his prime. This was Eddie Murphy at his funniest until he voiced an animated donkey. Maybe Mushu. I will give him Mushu before I give him Donkey.
Wow.
But,
okay. Wow. I honestly can't abide by that. But I think that if you're looking at a movie from the 80s, they're both from the 80s. It's not a really big deal. what do you think the cultural significance and cultural impact of a movie like a spoof movie that has stood the test of time, like Airplane, or Coming to America? I understand they're both good movies. I don't want to say anything otherwise.
I'm not going to disagree with you on that, but so I'll ask you this: what's the one thing that you think everybody would remember more? Shirley, you can't be serious. Don't call me Shirley, or So Glow. So Glow. Everybody remembers So Glow over Shirley. You can't be serious. I'm serious. Don't call me Shirley.
I guess, like, you know, it's very subjective. I think, at least.
No, you're right. I said that in my opening. I said that you can call it subjective all you want. I don't necessarily believe that.
So you think yours is objectively better than mine? No.
I said that you would call it subjective.
Okay, fair.
That's what I said.
Yeah, sorry. Fair.
No, you're good. You're good. That's what I said. This is really difficult. The comedy of your movie is really flat. It's kind of pan, and the comedy that comes across in Coming to America is more, I wouldn't necessarily say sketch, but I would say that it's closer to improv. It's more fluid.
That was a main round, and we've still got the closings to go. And I'll go to Asher first for his closing. So your 1 minute starts when you begin talking.
What is the definition of a comedy? What's a comedy supposed to do? A comedy is supposed to point a satire at something. How about a satire at everything? Literally, the biggest exaggerations, the biggest hyperboles, the biggest comedies, they turn into parody. And what is the best parody? What is the best spoof movie? Airplane is that answer. It is made in 1980. It's an 80s movie. People know it by name a lot more, I think, than Coming to America. Everybody understands Leslie Nielsen's deadpan acting in it as comedic because that's what the words are able to do with the serious tone. It's a opposite. It is a counter that is hysterical when you do it. That is an essence of satire. That's the essence of comedy, instead of sort of a hyperactive look like you take from his. That is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to shine a mirror onto something and just blow it up.
Time. Jay, it's time for you to close it up, wrap it up into a nice bow, and yeah.
You have peak Eddie Murphy in his prime in the 1980s. You have James Earl Jones. You have the ensemble cast that this is. You have the grounds for Eddie Murphy to create other characters by dressing up in makeup and becoming other people. Coming to America is the better comedy because it allows you more opportunities to see a wider breadth of adventure than you being stuck in one airport, in an airplane, and another airport. Whether you're stuck in just a couple of boroughs in New York City, you have this wider expanse and this greater opportunity to see what comedy could be for this individual who has absolutely no idea what this country could be, except throughout this movie.
Yeah, that was definitely one hell of a debate, and I'm going to go to James first on this. James, who are you going to give me a point to and why?
Yeah, that was a fun one. Those are two of my favorite comedies of all time. For me, I think this one was a little bit one-sided. I think Asher got a little bit too hung up on the textbook definition of what a comedy is, and he got too into why satire is good, but he didn't give me a reason why his movie is funny. I didn't hear a single line from Asher on memorable lines. The only line that was brought up is the "Don't Call Me Shirley," and Jay brought that up. So I didn't get enough of why Airplane was funny, even though it is a funny movie, out of Asher, whereas Jay was able to give me specific examples of why Coming to America is funny. So I'm giving my point to Jay. Yeah,
and I'm going to go next on this, but yeah, Jay easily gets this one, like pretty much the same reasons that James said. Like Asher got kind of hung up with the definition of comedy, and Jay got a lot of points in. So my point goes to Jay, and hashtag Norbert does still exist. All right, and we're back, and this question is a must win for Asher, because otherwise it's going to be a knockout on Jay's record.
Yeah, that makes
and-
sense. More like a
but-
blackout.
But question number 3 is: if you could choose any movie character to be your drinking buddy, who would it be? And I'm going to go to Asher first for his opening, and your 1 minute will begin when you start talking.
I think we have two different ways of thought here, looking at your answer in mind. I think my way is the better way. I'm wearing a shirt from The Big Lebowski. I have a White Russian in my hand. The answer is easy. I'm drinking with the dude. The dude abides, man. I mean, there's no better philosophical, chill, at peace man than the dude. He gets put through the ringer a little bit, gets in a little bit of a tizzy, but he's always easy, man. He's always chill. I understand. I'm not going to say who your character is because I kind of just want you to introduce him. But I would say that yours is a lot more aggressive. And I get people who want to drink to be aggressive. But I am a very chill person. So I enjoy a cocktail like a White Russian. And I enjoy sitting and learning about the truth of the world with the dude.
And
So that's
time. And Jay, your 1 minute will begin when you start talking.
All right. I've chosen the Odin's son, Thor of Asgard, or Asgard no more, as my drinking buddy. Not necessarily because he is an overly active individual in the search for aggression like he was in his first movie, but as his progression has shown throughout the entirety of every movie that he's been in. He is the individual that you can take lessons in philosophy from. You can take lessons of peace, and you can take lessons from war from this individual. And I grew up in the age where you wanted to really sit down and drink with vets from Vietnam. Like, maybe Walter Sobchak would have been your better choice, but Thor, Odin's son, is my choice of a drinking buddy, and I'll get into it in our fucking arguments.
Right. It's definitely going to be an interesting one. We've got the God of Thunder versus the dude.
He's the god of sparkles.
But yeah, this is going to be an interesting battle, and I can't wait for them to get into it. So, your 5 minutes will begin when someone starts talking.
He's going to drink you under the table, man. Are you kidding me? Do you know how hard it is to get him drunk? And when he's drunk, do you know how angry he's going to get at you? That is... And do you know how powerful he is? That's a dangerous drinking buddy.
Never once gotten angry while drunk, but I have heard that the dude fucking hates the Eagles, man. Multiple fucking times when he's barely had a White Russian and maybe a little bit of ketamine on top of it. I don't fucking care about that. What I would like to hear about is his battle against Jotuns. What I would like to hear about is him meeting Korg. What I would like to hear is an entertaining conversation between two people who have lived a fucking life of struggle and strife. While they are on two different sides of the fucking coin, but what do I have? I have the roadie for some fucking band that nobody fucking listens to anymore, and one of the people who might have been a party to the fucking Seattle 7. Okay,
so you were there with him then when he was crying about Jane for like ever, and so when he's drinking with you, he's gonna be pounding him back, right? And he's just going to be crying about Jane.
That's the thing about it. You got to stick with your bros. No, you have to stick with your bros regardless of what happens. If that's your drinking buddy, that's your drinking buddy. And you need to be there and you need to have his fucking back. And if he wants to fucking get drunk and he wants to throw a fucking temper tantrum about it, then you just got to be like, yo, look, dude, I'm a little fucking electrical myself. Don't have a rubber suit, but I'm here for you. I'm a
no,
fucking
no,
back.
that's
Have another fucking drink with you. But what do you have with the dude? You have the dude who can't listen to one of the best songs by the fucking Eagles of all time, Hotel California, because he fucking hates the Eagles.
fine, whatever. That's not a big deal.
Not.
Plus, the bigger deal is the fact
That's
that
like a third of his story in the movie.
oh my god, the bigger deal is that if you I get having a friend by your side, but you know how annoying that would be? You'd be there for him, sure.
It doesn't
but
matter whether that's annoying or not, though. That's just it. Whether
it does matter.
No,
It's who's the better drinking buddy.
it doesn't matter if that's
Have
your
you
friend.
ever had a friend who has gone through a breakup?
Yes,
You know-
I have. And you know what I've done? I've sat there and listened to them bitch while they drown themselves in fucking liquor.
So
I've drowned myself in liquor right next to them because that's what drinking buddies do.
That
Jay,
means
let
you're
him get some words in now.
That means that's selfless. I get that. I guarantee you that. But this is a question of who would you rather have as your drinking buddy?
I would much rather have more than the dude.
Okay. So I guess we have different ways of trying to relax and drink versus trying to rage and drink. And I'm fine with that. I think these are two trains of thought. And again, I don't want to be aggressive because that's kind of not my train of thought right now. I think the answer is clear though, and it's a what?
Oh no, I'm waiting until you're done. I'm waiting until you're done. This is just my
okay, fair, got it. I think if you look at a person and who wants to chill, maybe get a few drinks and talk with his friends and learn advice from a wise man who's seen some shit but is curled over and has been calm about it, besides listening to the Eagles. But that's it. Then you have a man by the dude. With Thor comes a civil war. And do you know how many people want to fucking take down the Avengers? There are so many villains looking after him. You are going to be put in danger. My guy, besides that little nihilist scheme, is pretty safe.
Okay. Can I talk now?
Yes, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. I didn't want to be a dick about it. Okay, so at that exact same point in time, him breaking up with Jane is only one portion of who that person is. But you also have to take into consideration the fact that this is an individual who can now access the Bifrost and travel to any fucking place that is, which means that I can not only access my realm, I can access Jotunheim, I can access Muspelheim, I can access any of the 9 realms, and I can go drink with all of them, and I can listen to them sit there and talk about their war stories, which means that what do I have? I have myself an intergalactic drinking buddy, whether I can keep up or not, whether I have to get
time. Well, that was definitely an interesting battle. It's also pretty close. There's still the closings to go, so I'm going to go to Jay first for the closing, and your 1 minute begins when you start talking.
When I look for a drinking buddy, I look for somebody who will not only bring me adventure, not necessarily glory, but adventure, excitement, a little bit of drama, and the one person that I see that coming from is the Odin son. Everything that he's gone from has transformed him into a better character, and who better to let that out with and express that to than his drinking buddy, myself. So that's why I would Thor. I think Thor would offer a more complete look at the world that I'm looking at, plus the world at large, to offer myself, if I'm looking for an existential crisis, the views of somebody who doesn't even realize that I'm there, but still takes the time to look at me and be like, hey, look, let's go grab a drink, bud.
And Ashley, your 1 minute closing starts when you begin talking and wrap it up into a nice bow.
I don't know, man. I guess I'm just more down to earth. I guess I just like talking and learning from somebody who's gone through life the same way I have, you know? I kind of want to learn from his musings. I kind of want to learn from how he thinks. I get it. But you're talking to a literal god of thunder. You're talking to one of the most powerful men in any realm who can take you many places, sure. But you're talking about one of the most powerful men in the world, not to mention the fact that that's going to get him very cocky at some points, and he's going to be kind of an asshole about it. It might get on your nerves a lot. Besides that, I think that there's going to be danger at every corner. Who doesn't want a piece of Thor? Everybody wants to have a piece of Thor and make him a little trophy. So you're going to get in a lot of danger, and I'm going to be there sitting White Russians with my friend, my person, my god of wisdom, the dude.
Well, that was definitely a very close battle, and it was definitely a very interesting battle. I'm going to kick it off here. I'm going to give my point to Asher because I do think that he did knock down Thor quite a bit, and he did a good job of explaining why he would pick the dude over Thor's, like all the knowledge that he would depart. I think Jay, he knocked on the dude a bit, but he did a lot of sort of selling Thor, but I don't think he did a good job of sort of knocking down why the dude would not be a great drinking buddy at all. I think he did get a few. Like I think the one thing I remember was that he fucking hates the Eagles. That he brought up that quote, but apart from that, I don't think. But I do wish Asher would have brought up one of my favorite Stan Lee cameos and said, like, look what happened to Stan Lee when he was drinking with Thor. So, but yeah, my point goes to Asher. But Brandon, who are you going to give your point to and why?
So I think that Jay made some good points about how much fun you could have with Thor, about how he has these great stories of battle, and that you could travel, the galaxy with him through the Bifrost. But overall, I'm going to give my point to Asher. I just think he did knock Thor a lot. He made a lot more points, I thought, than Jay was able to make. Pros about the dude, that he's really chill and relaxing and easy to talk to, and he's very relatable. Thor's this god. He's not as relatable as this everyday guy that you could sit down and experience his stories with. And then, of course, the negatives about Thor, how he'll drink you under the table. His superpowers pose a risk when drunk. He's got supervillains after him, which pose danger. And, of course, he's going to cry and complain about his breakup with his girlfriend, which is really never fun. Of course, Jay makes a good point about a good friend always doing that. But if I can choose between relaxing with a buddy and hearing my buddy complain about a breakup, I think I'm going to go with the more relaxing option. So that's why, overall, I'm going to give my point to Asher.
Right, we're here in the speed round, and the way the speed round works is each player gets 30 seconds to do an opening and 15 seconds for the rebuttal. And if we go to the second speed round, then it goes 30, 20, 10. But we'll see if they need it. The first person to speak will be the one that goes first. And yeah, right now, I promise you I'm not drunk. So, right, the question is...
It's just me and Asher.
Yeah, the question is, who is the better Irish actor, Liam Neeson or Pierce Brosnan?
Liam Neeson.
Okay, cool.
Right, it's clear that Jay got that first. I don't know. I don't know if it was I don't know if it was a strategy move from Asher just to wait.
No, I have a pretty good argument in hand, so I'm pretty ready. I'm pretty ready for this.
Right, so
he's got an argument on hand. No shenanigans. We need a new speed round question.
I have one in my mind. That's why I let you pick Liam Neeson, bro.
But anyway, Jay, your 30 seconds begins when you start talking.
When you think of an Irish actor, there's nobody else that you think of. You clearly think of Liam Neeson. You clearly think of The Taken. You clearly think of Ra's al Ghul. You have this high-profile actor who has done all of these things and doesn't sit there and shit the bed when it comes to I'll wait until rebuttals for that, but you don't have an actor who shits the bed when it comes to his movies. You are clearly entertained when you watch an individual like Liam Neeson.
And finishing a few seconds early, we'll see if that pays off. Asher, your 30 seconds begins when you start talking.
I think your art portrays who you are as a person. So if I'm an actor, I don't want to be racist. And Liam Neeson's a little bit racist. I want to be a good person, like Pierce Brosnan, who has been in James Bond and has been a very good actor, a very good distinguished actor for a while. Sure, Liam Neeson's comments were very questionable at best, but still, I don't want to be in an uncomfortable situation, and I don't want to experience that uncomfortable situation.
Now, Jay, it's back to you for your rebuttal. Your 15 seconds begins when you start talking.
First and foremost, Liam Neeson's comments were not racist. If anything, that was completely taken out of context. But what you have is an individual who has shown in action movies and drama movies that he is a very vast, expansive actor, whereas all you have is
and Asher, your 15 seconds begins when you start talking.
What Pierce Brosnan brought to the Bond generation is a new kind of person, a new kind of historic landscape person. With Liam Neeson, you have a person who just made very controversial comments.
And that's time. All right. I'm going to go to Brandon first.
So I'm going to give my point to Jay. I felt that he just made better points as far as Liam Neeson's career as an actor, that he's a more expansive actor. Yes, he's known for action movies, but he does take on all kinds of roles. And when he is in these big action movies, you know, he never really disappoints. It's always a fun time. Whereas Asher, he brought up, you know, Liam Neeson's controversial racial comments, but that doesn't really say anything about him as an actor, just as a person. And he brought up that James Bond is a historic role that Pierce Brosnan really brought life to. But unfortunately, that wasn't a strong enough argument for me to give him the point. So again, I'm giving it to Jay.
And James, who are you going to give your point to and why?
Yeah, I feel like Brandon made the points that I was going to make. I think that Asher got a little bit too hung up on the controversial remarks and not enough about Pierce Brosnan and what Pierce Brosnan brings to a role as an actor. I think Jay was able to hit the different genres that Liam Neeson does and the different accolades that Liam Neeson can bring. So I am leaning towards Jay as well. I give Jay back.
And your winner, Jay the Arsonist Burnz. Gonna talk to our winner here. Jay, how do you feel about the match today, and what do you have any plans for the future?
I have plans to nurse the hangover that I'm gonna have tomorrow from this match. But you know, I had a fucking blast with this match. I honestly didn't expect this to go to speed round. I was a little surprised that I got voted against when it came to Thor. I thought my argument for Thor was solid in the third round, but I respect all of the judges. I respect my opponent. And like I told Sue Brath, I'm always drunk when I do these, so it's not really out of my fucking league to have a drunk argument. No, I'm kidding.
Don't worry.
He's totally not kidding.
It's fine. Don't worry. That's clever. Then.
Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, no, I've had a couple tonight. I had a blast.
Maybe you would go toe to toe with Thor.
Maybe I would go to toe to toe.
Yeah.
I also received third degree when I was 2 years old. So I know pain. I know how to handle my anything, whether it's an opioid, whether it's an alcohol. I've had nothing but a blast. Asher, I respect him as a fucking opponent. I saw the gambit that he was trying to pull when he pulled that fucking Liam Neeson as a racist in that last round. And I was really hoping that I wouldn't fucking bite at it. and I kind of been at it, but I was glad that I was able to exputiate on it a little bit more before I was just like, oh no, that's wrong. You're taking out of context. Ha! But yeah, no, I had a blast tonight, fellas.
And Asher, I mean, you tried a strategy. It backfired on you spectacularly. But how do you feel about the match overall?
Spectacularly, I love that. Yeah, I mean, the final question, I was trying to trap Jay basically into just yelling and not getting back into it because I don't know about Liam Neeson. I don't really have a big opinion on the subject, but I just wanted to see if I could do it because the reason why is I don't think I could have beaten with Liam Neeson, but he's such a good competitor. I wanted to see if I could toy with him. It didn't work. But that's what you do when you face a guy who actually has had practice drinking and competing, which nothing takes away this win from you. No, not at all. Don't think
Cheers,
that.
bro. I'll drink to that.
Cheers. No, it's a very impressive win by Jay. I think I did have good points in there throughout the entire thing, but I think overall, you chose. I didn't know I could choose Jordan Peele, and I also forgot about Coming to America and forgot to say anything significant about Airplane in Airplane because I know Shirley, you can't be serious. I am serious. Don't call me Shirley. Obviously, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is in the movie. The autopilot scene's hysterical, but and the slides too. But completely slipped my mind, and that's why you don't drink, kids.
And that's why you don't do it. But but yeah, it's definitely. And anyway, we've got. I don't know when this is coming out on March 17th. The Stretch and Claw event is coming up. You've got Caleb Boatman versus Eli McKagan versus Jake Damon, who did beat Jay. But anyway, you've got that coming up. But we'll find out where we can find everyone else. Brandon, where can people find you on the interwebs?
You can find me Twitter and Instagram at BrandonHanna07, YouTube.com/BrandonHanna, and Patreon.com/BrandonHanna. I hope I was able to do an adequate job of judging today. This was a lot of fun. This is definitely a lot different than a trivia competition where I actually hold people's fate in my hands. So I have to try really hard to be as objective as possible and base my choices solely on the arguments. And I think I did okay. I hope I did okay. So I hope everybody had fun. And yeah, it was a great time. Thank you for having me on.
Don't forget the blog, Brandon.
Oh, the blog.
Yeah.
LordsOfFilms.com. Yes. I never plugged that, but yeah, I probably should because James is writing on it now too. Yes. If you like movie blogs, LordsOfTheFilms.com.
James, where can people find you online?
Hey, guess what? I'm writing for his blog. Yeah, so check that out. I'm going to have a review of The Favorite coming up shortly here in the next day or two. You can find me all over Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, all at Gator24 with G4, TOR24, Gator24. And then you can find me competing in Full Metal and in Multiplex, doing my best to try to study up for this geekdom match that I have coming up. I'm not ready for, but I'm going to do my best, and I'm going to see how we do. Business casual, obviously. Brandon, myself, we're ready to make a name for ourselves. We've had two huge matches here against the White Stallions that just didn't quite go our way. But you know what? We proved that we are a formidable team, and we bring on all comers. So if you got a team and you want to fight, bring it.
Shake and bake, baby.
And our winner, Jay, where can people find you online?
Oh, son of a bitch. Okay. Let me see if I can do this as well drunk as I can when I'm sober. You can find me on Facebook at Jay Burnz. You can find me on Twitter at Jay Burnz253. You can find me on Letterboxd at JBR253. You can find me on Instagram at bargang_Burns. You can find me on YouTube at both Burns and the Boatman and your friendly neighborhood movie nerds. And you can also find me just like the dude hating the fucking Eagles, man, anywhere where you find people listening to good music. But other than that, yeah, that's where you can find me.
That's
I'm
just
sorry.
like your opinion, man.
Yeah, this is like my opinion, man. I have one other. You can also find me destroying any opinion you have about who is or isn't the better or who is not the worst person in Nerdgasms against Eli McKeag, where I argued that Dumbledore is the worst person in the Harry Potter universe. So yeah, go ahead. Find me there. Fight me. James White, I don't care what you say. Thumbs down all you want. I still won that match. Suck it.
But I mean, I was actually at the Eagles concert last week when they were playing in New Zealand. So
No way.
Damn right.
Ashley, where can people find you online?
Oh, God. Yeah, that was a mouthful. I'm going to keep it easy. I have a radio show twice on Monday, 3:30 p.m. to 5:30, and then 9:30 p.m. to 11:30. Got a new music show on 91.1 WDUB The Doobie in Granville, Ohio at Denison University. They're both on Mondays. New music show is 3:30, and my own all-purpose radio show, As Good as Gold, is on 9:30. If you want more information about the station, doobieradio.com, spelled like DOOBIE, as in the Doobie Brothers, radio.com. You go to listen, and you can stream us live, or you can go see the schedule on Schedule. Yeah. I mean, you can follow me on Instagram, I guess, at notorious__ABG. But other than that, yeah, no, that's all I wanted to say.
And I'll keep mine very short because mine's getting longer and longer by the second. But I'm on Take 3 hosting Rankum, as you know. I'm competing on Full Metal and Multiplex, as you know. But what you don't know is I'm now hosting Full Metal Random on Multiplex. And I'm also writing for TV Full Metal Random is on Full Metal. I'm co-writing TV Throwdown on Multiplex. And you can also find me on Twitter, Letterboxd, Stardust at Melbourne.